Hello, today in this video we're going to have a look at our Wi-Fi system and how it attaches through our second physical network card through to our router, which has three network cards, one of which is also bridged to that second physical network card. Now the subnet we have in here is the 30 subnet, so the network card that's on the router is 30.1, and what we're going to do is set an IP address for the physical network card that allows it to connect to the external Wi-Fi unit, and then allow us to change its IP address of this unit here so that it's in the 30 subnet, so that these two devices then can talk to each other via this physical network card. What we'll do is we'll use, instead of using the wide area network port on the access point, we're going to use only the switch side of things, and the wireless will also get its IP address in this 30 subnet. Now there's two places where we could set up DHCP. We could set it up actually on the access point itself. However, what we're going to do is we're going to set it up actually on this network card here in the router, so that when our wireless device connects to the access point, it's just like it's connecting to this switch here, which is in the same subnet as this network card, and the DHCP server on here will be able to give out IP addresses to this device. That being the case, we'll then be able to make sure that this device out here that has an IP address has its gateway set to 30.1, which means that this wireless device will then send all its packets to 30.1, which will allow us to get to our Exchange server and also out to the internet through our virtual network and back out through the first physical network card and then out to the internet. So that's the plan for this video. So how do we achieve this? First of all, we need to set up our physical network card here. Before we do that, we probably should have reset the access point. So there's a little button on the bottom of it. I'm using a Linksys E1200. You can use any wireless access point that's got a 4-port switch on the back, where the Wi-Fi unit joins that same network. So, you know, the important thing to know about this wireless access point is that when you reset it, what its IP address is and how to get into it, you know, to set it up. So, when we reset the E1200, the Linksys E1200, it'll go back to a 192.168.1.1. I've already reset it, so that's where it is. So I'm going to need to set my physical network card up in that same subnet so that these two can talk to each other, which then allows me to configure the wireless access point from the host operating system. Okay, so going down to here, opening the networking. If you have a look at the adapter settings, you'll see that we've got this Intel Pro 1000, which is the one that goes out to the internet. The Intel 82579V, that's our second physical network card, and this is our host only network card. So it's this card here, which is Ethernet 2. What we want to do is look at its properties. Quality of service is turned off. We'll go to IP version 4. Look at its properties. Currently it's just getting an IP address automatically. Now, as I mentioned, the reset E1200 will get an IP address of 192.168.1.1, so we're going to put a static IP address on our physical network card of 192.168.1.2, say, and just leave it like that. Actually, I'm going to make it 1.4. You'll see why in a minute. And we don't put a gateway or a DHCP. But what I'm going to do is I'm also going to do what's called multi-homing. So if I hit the advanced button here, you can see there's our original IP address on this network card, but I'm also going to add another IP address. So 192.168.30.4, again with a /24 subnet, and add it. So now you can see that this network card actually has two IP addresses, and that's what's called multi-homing your network card. So it's got an IP address in the 1 subnet and in the 30 subnet. Okay, and apply. So we've fixed that physical network card here. We've given it an IP address that allows us to be able to web browse into our access point, and then we're going to change the IP address of this thing into the 30 subnet, and because this one's also got an IP address in the 30 subnet, and so has our internal router that has a bridged network card. What we need to do is just check to make sure that that is actually bridged. So I'm just going to go to that router, here it is, and I'm going to have a look at the network card. We can see that adapter 2 is actually bridged to the 82579V gigabit network card. Okay, and that's the second adapter. So when we have a look inside here, look at I for IP address, you can see that Ether01, this card here, is in fact 30.1. So the router is actually set up okay. And what we're going to do is open a command prompt on the host operating system and ipconfig, and you'll see that it's a 30.4 and a 1.4. Okay, so we should be able to ping anything that's in the 1 subnet, and because we've already reset our E1200, we should be able to ping 192.168.1.1. That's the E1200 that I'm pinging through the second physical network card. So if I can ping it, I should be able to web browse it. I'm also going to see if I can ping 30.1, which is the, I'm on the host. I should be able to, because I've got an IP address of 30.4 multi-homed on that second physical network card, I should also be able to ping 30.1. I'll just do an update up and 30.1, and you can see that my host can actually ping my router, that's a good sign. Okay, so I'll just minimize that out of the road. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to web browse into the E1200, which is at 1.1. So this should probably still get out to the internet very slowly. Yep, it's got out there. And images, forward, shows me forwards. Okay, so it's actually working. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to web browse into 192.168.1.1, which is our Linksys E1200. Okay, so it's asking us to use Cisco Connect and all that other sort of stuff. We want to continue to open an unsecured network, and we tick the box to say that we understand that it's not, it's currently open and not secure. We're going to continue, and the default password for an E1200 Linksys is admin, and password is admin. You can go out to the internet and find these things. So any access point that's left as its default, as in reset condition, is ultimately vulnerable, because all username passwords for all routers are known and are available out on the internet. Okay, so we're getting into this. Don't show me again. Okay, so here's the setup for the Cisco, the Linksys E1200. And what we really want is our basic setup here. English, yep, host name. I'm going to call this GWMP Wi-Fi, and you can see that the IP address is currently 1.1. That's its default. I'm going to change that to 30.2. Okay, I'm going to leave the subnet mask correct, and the router name I'm going to call GWMP Wi-Fi. That'll do. And I'm going to disable the DHCP server because we're going to use the DHCP server that's on our router, which is our virtual machine. So here we've changed it to 30.2 as the default IP address for the LAN side of the E1200, and we've disabled the DHCP server. So what else do we need to do? We need to look at the wireless, and we're going to use a manual setup, and we're going to use a we'll go mixed. We'll set the SSID name, server set ID, to GWMP Wi-Fi. We'll just leave everything else the same. Normally we would disable the SSID broadcasting. However, this is just a test network, so it doesn't really matter. But in the normal event where you'd want a secure network, you would disable it. If we go to Wi-Fi security up here, oh sorry, we need to save settings first. Okay. Let's just make sure we saved it. Yep. So it's actually done a reboot. No, it hasn't actually rebooted. There is a reboot coming up though. So Wi-Fi security mode's currently disabled. We want to change that to WPA2 personal. That means it needs a pre-shared key. We're just going to use the standard password 9 and go save settings and continue. Okay, we don't want any guest access. We could also go MAC filtering and put in specific MAC addresses and make that a whitelist, so it'd be only those devices would be allowed in. But currently we've got MAC filtering disabled, so it'll allow anyone in. So that's all we really need to do on the setup, is to make sure we set to, for some reason this is still set to 1.1. Why is that? 30 dot 2, and we disabled the DHCP, but maybe I didn't save it. Aha. 30.2. Yeah, I mustn't have saved it. Okay, so we've got our router names, Wi-Fi, host names, that DHCP is disabled, back to 30.2, and hit the save button. Don't forget to hit the save button like I did. Actually, the other thing we could do is set the time as well. So drag that down and go plus 10 hours. There's Australia. Hit save. Okay, so it's doing a reboot. That was probably the most appropriate time to do a reboot after we'd saved all the other settings as well. So it's going to come up with an IP address of 30.2 this time rather than 1.1, because we've changed the IP address. That's why we multi-homed our physical network card and put a 30.4 on it. This will allow us to web browse into it nice and easy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go 192.168.30.2 and admin, and I'm back into it. Okay, so you can see 30.2, we're in there. Because I multi-homed to my network card, it was easy to go back in again, and we'll just check our wireless just to make sure it's mixed and the security is set to WPA2 personal with password as the pre-shared key. So everything looks like it's all okay. So what we do now is we need to make sure that we set up the DHCP on our router, and then what we need to do is have a device connect to the Wi-Fi on the E1200 and access the email system, and also be able to get out to the internet. So let's have a look at our web browse into our router. So if I go to, let's just say our server A, open up a browser, and 10.254 is actually the IP address that we want, which is good. So let's go admin and 0 shell. Okay. So we need to go down to DHCP, and I had already set this up before, so I'm just going to redo it. I've deleted. So what we've got now is we've got one subnet which is on the 20 subnet. So if we have a quick look back, you can see that we've got on our router we've got a 20 subnet and a DHCP server on that, which gives out IP addresses to our Windows 10 machine when it's plugged into switch 2. What we also need to do is put DHCP on this network card here that's bridged to our second physical network card, which will then give IP addresses out to our wireless devices. Okay, so back into here, we're going to go new, drop down, use the 30 subnet, which is our Ether01 card, and hit OK. And we're going to put in a range of 192.168.30.100. Let's just say to 200. 192.168.30.200. And we need to set the default gateway to 30.1, which is this device. But our DNS is still going to be 10.2, which is the server A, which is our DNS server. So we're going to hit save on this, and if I look at leases, you can see I've got a lease here currently of 20.100, which is our Windows 10 machine. Okay. What we're going to do now is connect to a Wi-Fi. I've got a tablet here. Just click it on, open up the wireless on it. I'm going to connect to GWMP Wi-Fi, put in the password of password 9, show the password, yep, connect. Okay, it says it's obtaining an IP address and that it's connected. What I'm going to do also is I'm going to modify the network and go to advanced options and put in a proxy, manual proxy, and I put in proxy.det .nsw.edu.au, and port number is 80. And I'm going to put a bypass for everything that starts with a 192 .star. There we go, and go save. So I've just modified the tablet's connection to GWMP, and okay, we should be able to, because I've got an IP address now, if I look at the leases, you can see here, here's my Android device, has got an IP address of 30.100. Okay, so my tablet's now got an IP address, and although there's no video to show what my tablet's actually got in it, perhaps I should have videoed this with a separate device. Okay, note to myself next time, video the tablet as well. Okay, so I'm going to open up a browser and go out to Google. It gets out to Google, I'll go images, and I'll put Isetta, and what I get is those little bubble cars. Is that correct, Jordan? I've got Isettas, yep. So I've got that on my tablet going through the wireless and out through my network, and I'm going to open up another tablet, and I'm going to go another tab on my browser and go to 192.168.10.3. It comes up with a 403 forbidden access because I didn't go HTTP. So we go HTTP :/ and go OK. Wrong backslashes, okay. One 192.168.10.3 /OWA. It's given me a connection is not private, so I'll go advanced and proceed. And Jordan, can I just verify that I'm getting to my Outlook web access? Yep. So I've got my Outlook web access, and if I sign in as, say, Doc2, and give him a password of password 9, and sign in. Okay, so let's go GWMP /doc, and then put in his password. Jordan, can you verify that I've got into it? Yep. So I've had independent verification that my tablet has not only got out to the internet, but also got into the Outlook web access on my server, and using a tablet that has Wi-Fi only connection. It doesn't have any other way of getting out to the internet. So I've used the E1200, which is bridged. If I can just summarize. So what I've done is I've used my tablet here via the E1200, which is bridged to the second physical network card on my computer, and bridged to that is the network card, and I've got a DHCP server on here, which we can see has got given an IP address to my Android device, my tablet, just there. And it's allowed me to get to the Exchange server and get to email, and also out through the ADSL and out through this bridge network card and out to the internet. So that is the conclusion of this particular video, and that's the methodology for getting your wireless devices here through your wireless access point and into your virtual network.